Now, guys, I'm delighted to say that we are joined by one of the coolest guys on the PGA Tour. We're, he's laughing here. Erik Van Rooyen, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you. How you doing?
I'm good. How often do you get referred to as one of the coolest guys on tour?
Um, Not too often, I think. Usually, the latest craze has been my caddy's man bun.
Okay.
He's people are referring to him as one of the cooler guys on tour. So, but I kind of like it.
Surely, yeah, surely that beard puts you fairly high up on the status of coolest guys in tour, though.
Yeah, it's kind of hit or miss. I don't know. People, it's kind of like the joggers as well. People either like it or don't like it. There's no real middle ground. So, um, yeah, I don't know. I like it, and people just if they don't like it, tough luck for them.
You're personally responsible for me buying two pairs. Actually, I
Oh,
have to
very
say,
good, good
not
man.
joggers, not beards.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good man. Awesome.
yeah. They're
So
going
listen,
down well.
thanks very much, Erik, for jumping on and chatting to us. For anyone that may not know you, could you give us a highlights reel of who you are, where you came from?
Obviously South African, born in Cape Town. Ended up in a really small town called Oudtshoorn, in the Southern Cape, and got lucky enough to receive a scholarship to come play golf in the US. Met my wife here. Started my professional career on the Sunshine Tour. Head over to Challenge Tour in 2017. Couple of years in the European Tour, and now I'm currently playing my first full year on the PGA Tour. So it's been a hell of a ride, and enjoying every minute of it.
We were chatting there before we were hit record that you were saying you're in Jupiter, which is the
Mm-hmm.
ideal place for golf in America. You went to college in Minnesota, which I don't think many people would refer to as the mecca for golf or college
No,
golf. What was
no,
it about
definitely
Minnesota?
not. Um, Sorry, what was the question? What was it like?
What was it about Minnesota that brought
Oh,
you there?
honestly, a couple things. So the head coach at the time was Australian, and we just clicked right off the bat. I mean, I feel like the cultures are fairly similar with South Africa. You know, I grew up playing the same kind of sports, very competitive. So I just clicked with them right off the bat. And then at the time as well, we were ranked quite high up in the US with regards to college programs. So they were ranked top 25 at the time. So you kind of guaranteed that you're going to play a strong schedule. You're going to play against the best that college golf has to offer, and that's kind of what I wanted, you know, to play against the best to help my development as well. So that's why in Minnesota, no one could possibly tell you how brutal the winters are. They try and soothe it over a little bit with their words, but yeah, it was harsh, but I really enjoyed my 4 years there, and I tell anyone that asks, I'd go back for 4 more if I could.
Did you, because you then, like for a lot of the northern state colleges, you spend an awful lot of time down south, though, don't you, during the season?
Yeah, we do, exactly. So, I mean, all your tournaments are down south, whether it be Florida or Texas or California. Obviously, because, you know, golf courses are still closed in Minnesota anyway. So you travel a lot down south for spring break, you know, about 10 days, you're down south practicing. So it's really not all that bad. And then if you do get to a good university, they've more than likely got really good indoor facilities anyway. So if you can bear the cold for a couple months, it's really not that bad.
So how does that for a kid from the Cape and
Mm-hmm.
that whole kind of seaside, sunny type vibe? How did it take much of an adjust to get used to it, or were you like, no, I'm here to do this job and just get through it?
No, I did. It was definitely a little bit of a shock to the system. Not only, you know, it's my first time away from home, so you're missing your folks and friends, and then so there's a bit of a cultural difference, and then just the weather. It's man, I remember the first time I saw snow. I was so happy and pumped, and you're all excited, you know, snow is falling, and then like 2 weeks in, you're like, okay, I'm done with this now. Can we move on? And then you're like, well, I've got about 4 more months of it to go. So it was a bit of a shock, but after my first year, I feel like I settled in nicely, and you're used to the whole thing and how everything works. So like I said before, I loved my 4 years there, so it turned out really well.
And so you also met the man that would eventually be your life partner, which is your caddy. You mentioned him earlier with the man bun. You dragged him down to the Sunshine Tour, didn't you?
I did. I encouraged all my teammates to come with me. I think it's a great tour to start out on. It's really competitive, great weather all year round, really good courses. So, I always thought it was important to get on a tour somewhere, to have a regular schedule you can play consistent competitive golf. And he was the only one that came. And albeit, he didn't play too great, but he lived with us for a year, my wife and I. And so after he played on the Sunshine Tour, he moved back to the US, started working at a golf course, and now he's my caddy. So it's pretty cool how it came full circle for the both of us and for our friendship. And yeah, I love our partnership on the golf course. I think we're probably one of the best two out there. So, but him coming to South Africa and staying with us, I think that was all part of, becoming good friends and getting to know each other. And now I feel like we're really good.
There's a massive cohort of of South African guys on the European Tour, less so. Well, just for proximity, PGA Tour is not as many. But bring us back a little bit in terms of golf in South Africa when you left versus maybe more kind of the socioeconomic part of it, because it's a country that always fascinates me because I played a lot of rugby with a lot of South African guys, and it's funny because they have to travel a lot to really make a career. And it's so far away from a lot of things, but the fact that you actually have your own tour is almost like this kind of mad piece. Like the Sunshine Tour is a place where we get a lot of Irish guys going down to try their hand. A lot of Irish amateurs go down and they play the South African Amateur. That's one of the big ones for them. Would you mind going through a bit on that, like in how you develop, and because you have something to play towards, which is your own tour professionally, and take us from that zone of you finishing college, right? First, what's my steps now?
Yeah, you make a great point. It's a country, especially now everywhere in the world struggling with COVID, but South Africa's, with it being it really is a third world country. It's really been hit hard with the economy and struggling, and it's surprising that if you think about it, golf, which is an expensive sport to play, that we have our own tour. It's crazy, but we do. And like I said, it's a great, I think, for any professional, unless you're the next Tiger Woods, it's a really great place to start. So I went to college and I graduated in 2013. And obviously, like any college kid at the time, you're 21 or 2 or 3, and you think you're going to take the world by storm, right? I just wanted to stay in the US. That's what I saw myself doing. I'm going to Monday qualify for every event and get in and win on my first year on tour. And my dad was the one who convinced me to come back down to South Africa, sort of get back to my grassroots, I guess, and start there and build my career. So that's what I did, and I'm really glad for his advice, because I certainly wasn't ready to compete on, the PGA Tour or the European Tour or anywhere else, really. So you think you are, but there's a lot more to it, and you got to be very good to compete on any tour, and I really wasn't that good yet. So I'm glad I listened to his advice. So yeah, 2014 started playing full time on the Sunshine Tour. Takes me 3 years until I get that first win, and from there, I guess things just kind of fell into place. Went to Q School in Europe, Challenge Tour, got my Challenge Tour card, played. Didn't even have the money to pay for a whole year. It was kind of, the plan was kind of to play until the money ran up, or just play and keep making money to sustain myself. And that's kind of what I did. And then really played nicely in Kazakhstan at the end of that season, and then won the next week in China, and that was my ticket, you know, to the big league in Europe. So, but to come back to the Sunshine Tour, it's interesting. I don't, for some reason, you know, South Africa, with it being a small country, we've just got so many extremely good sportsmen and women. I don't necessarily know why. I don't know if it's a cultural thing or what it is, but there's just a really competitive spirit. And the Sunshine Tour, you know, likewise with golfers, we've got, I think on the European Tour, behind England, we're the number one amount of players from a certain country, you know. So England's got the most, we've got the second most, which I don't know if it should be that way when it comes to a sport like golf, but it is, and we've just always done well. So I think to kind of, I mean, I'm rambling on now, but yeah, anybody that wants to, you know, make a living out of this, the Sunshine Tour is a great place to start.
And so your dad getting you to come back to play the Sunshine Tour, was his logic get air miles under your belt and just get competitive rounds into you and then work up, or what was it that what was his thinking?
Yeah, well, look, you know, him being 30 years older than me, he's kind of dealt with life's experiences. He understands that there's rarely in life is there a quick ticket to the top. You know, it just doesn't really exist. So he understood that, you know, golf's a difficult game to be successful in, and he's like, exactly, come to the Sunshine Tour, like you said, get your air miles in, get experience, see if you can compete there against your local boys, and give yourself some time to develop. Because I think at that point I was still emotionally and not mature enough, you know, to be a top 50 or a top 20 player in the world, or whatever the case might be, or to compete in majors. I just wasn't ready for that at all. Looking back, you think you are, you think you're hot shit or whatever, you know, but this game, man, no matter where you go play, what tour you're playing, it's really competitive. And the Sunshine Tour kind of, I had to learn those lessons. And that was his thinking, you know, come back home, gain your experience, do the hard yards, and then progress from there, and just use it as a stepping stone and keep building.
So then you jump into kind of the next, probably, I suppose, what am I trying to say? It's like you 7 years to be an overnight success in that, like, there's a whole load of time that goes into it. And in terms of Challenge Tour, which I haven't like seen a lot of Irish guys have gone to it, it seems like probably one of the toughest tours to get off in terms of moving on up. And why is that? Or what is it? The pressure? Is it the courses? Is it the environment? What is it that makes it so tough?
Yeah, I guess I was fortunate, you know, getting through in my first year. But if it wasn't, you know, I don't know, it's so hard to look back, because I did win and I did play well at the end of the season. But up until then, it was fairly mediocre. You know, for me, it's the first time traveling Europe. It's a lot different. It's culturally different. Traveling is difficult on the Challenge Tour, but people don't, you know, understand is you're flying. You know, it might be in France, the tournament, but the nearest airport's in Brussels, and then you've got a 3-hour drive from there. So
Yeah.
it's not easy. You know, I did like 10 weeks in a row at one point where you're absolutely knackered afterwards, and you're sort of scraping the barrel with how much money you're making. It's really you're living week to week. So it's that pressure. Financially, it's the pressure of wanting your European Tour card and knowing that you know, getting there would open more doors for you. And then there's only 15 spots. It's not a ton, you know, 15 spots, and the players are all really good, like I've said before. And then the last thing is some of the courses just, it's not that good. The conditioning's poor. I played a tournament. I mentioned France again. I played a tournament. My wife actually started caddying for me, and I mean, the greens were shocking. And I'm putting and I'm thinking, okay, this thing could bounce left or it could bounce right. And this is what I'm playing on to secure my European Tour card, like to secure my living, you know? That didn't make sense to me, but it teaches you, just if you break it down, that, hey, golf's not a game of perfect. And that's the beauty of it. That's just what you've got to learn and get through and kind of harden up a little bit, you know? So it is a tough tour.
I was lucky enough to caddy on the Challenge Tour for kind of half a summer while I was on holidays when I was in college, and I have to say I've never come across an atmosphere or an environment with so many tortured souls on it. Like there's guys, I would not wish that place on any person, because
No.
it's horrendous. Like guys are trying to get off, like you got off really quickly, and you probably, like even yourself, you're saying you went to Kazakhstan and China, which are the two places you want to play well at, because that's the most money aside from Madeira.
Right.
But there's guys there that are just grinding week in for years there, and it's like, oh my God.
They're grinding, exactly. You know, there's guys, I mean, I turned pro in 2013. There's guys that are still on the Challenge Tour that I know since then. And
God,
man, that's hard. That's just, I mean,
but there's not much between them. That's the thing. Like
there isn't. The margin is literally
tiny.
like this. It's tiny. It's tiny. Yeah, and look, it's for someone listening in. It's like, yeah, but he's playing golf for a living. Well, but it's his job, you know. It's not his hobby. He's not always doing it for fun. So it's different. And I mean, yeah, it's just. I mean, yeah, I certainly couldn't do Challenge Tour for 7 years like some of these guys have. Yeah, and then again, you know, like you say, you're playing, and then Kazakhstan comes up, and it's like, okay, you have to play well. And that's next level pressure, you know. So some guys get through it, and some guys just they don't.
Do you ever think about what could have been if you didn't have that good a year? Was there a plan B to go be a PGA professional bout in South Africa, or was this always you'd find another route?
There was no plan B, and I don't mean that in an arrogant way. I don't mean to say that I knew I was going to make it. But at the time, there was no plan B. I knew that this is what I wanted to do, and I was going to do it flat out. And I sort of would have figured it out if it never worked out. But I studied business marketing at university. I've never, you know, I don't know what I would do with the degree if I had to change jobs now. I'm obviously extremely fortunate to be where I am, but it was, I don't know if it was golf or I would figure something out.
Plan B was plan A again.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And you know, I've it's so cliche, but I've heard guys say, well, you know, when you start working on a plan B, you kind of lose focus with what plan A was and to begin with. So it was just full steam ahead. Yeah.
And then you did make it onto the European Tour. Was there a sigh of relief, or was it okay, reset and then let's keep going? Because the ultimate goal was the PGA Tour.
Yeah. It was definitely a sigh of relief. This incredible accomplishment, like feeling of accomplishment, relief. But you know, for me, you know, I've still have college friends from college, like college teammates that are still playing mini tours here in the US, and sometimes I hear them say, you know, I just want to get to the PGA Tour. You know, my goal, I always wanted to play professional golf. And if that means I had to go to Asia or Japan or stay in South Africa so I could play golf professionally, I think that's what I would do. It was never, you know, the core of it wasn't to play on the PGA Tour. And I think that's where some guys miss the point. Because now you get to the PGA Tour and it's like, well, now what?
Yeah.
You know, Okay, well, now what I do, and then they don't cut it. So I want to, and it still is. I want to play against the best in the world. I want to win the best tournaments against the best in the world, and that just so happens to be on the PGA Tour. I think, and that's for multiple reasons. I think if the money in golf was somewhere else, say all the money was in South Africa, I think that's where the PGA Tour would be.
Yeah.
So, and then that's where the best players in the world would be. But to come back to your question, yeah, there was a big sigh of relief. But then it all starts over again, because now you've got to secure your European Tour card. You want to get your first win. So it's like that whole thing just starts from the beginning again.
How do you get out of that hamster wheel of, like, what do you do to separate yourself? Like, you're big into your guitar and stuff like that, but it can't all be golf, can it?
No, it can't. And to be honest, it's kind of a place I found myself in lately where it's almost, I haven't played the best of golf the last couple months. My first year on the PGA Tour, got off to a horrible start the first 2 months, and I'm finding some form again now. But you almost find yourself basing your happiness on your golf performance. Play well, life's happy, life's grand. Play horrible or poor, life sucks. And that's a tough spot to be, because there's so much more to it than just winning golf tournaments. I mean, I've got a wife, she's pregnant with our first baby. We're extremely happy where we live. We haven't had COVID. Like, there's so many bigger problems than that. But so, yeah, you make a good point. You have to almost find something to separate yourself and to get to the realization and perspective that this is just my job. It's not who I am. It's just what I do for a living. Yes, I'm privileged and I enjoy it and I love it. But if I'm going to sort of, judge every tournament and judge myself just based on how I play it every week, it's going to be a pretty miserable career.
How do you balance now, the week that's in it? How do you balance maybe the disappointment of not getting to Augusta in a professional sense versus I really want to go because it is Augusta? How is that, like, how's that to take, or how do you balance it?
It's not easy to take, because I'd love to be on the range right now at Augusta instead of sitting on my couch
chatting to us.
even though it's so good to be home. But you gotta almost look at the bigger picture. Like, I absolutely 100% know I'm good enough to be there. I know I'm good enough to win there. And you just got to understand, golf is going to have dips. And I mean, look at Lee Westwood is the perfect example. The guy was number 1 in the world, dropped back to like 200 and something. Now he's back. He's 47, playing some of the best golf of his career. That's just this journey that I think the game can take you on. It's so rare where someone's just going to have 30 years of just continuous success. Jordan Spieth, same thing, And I've kind of found myself just for a couple months, not even for years, just for a couple months, kind of struggling and not playing my best, wanting to be at Augusta, knowing I'm good enough to be there. But I don't know, try and keep perspective and look at the bigger picture, I guess, is the answer.
Yeah, it's just because normally in normal circumstances, you come off a top 15 yesterday in Texas in the Valero Open, and you'd be charging into next week, really, realistically speaking. Whereas that's why I wanted to know how that balance of coming off a really good week where you're like, okay, I found something, and then you have to wait, and the thing that you have to wait over is a big tournament.
Yeah, it's disappointing. I was flying back and Rickie Fowler was on the plane last night, and I'm trying to put myself in his shoes as well. I mean, here's one of the best in the world. He's played phenomenal golf for the last, 7-8 years, and he's just struggling, man. How's he feeling? It's the first major he's missed since, I think, 2010.
Yeah.
And here I am, also not being at the Masters, but like, what's that guy going through? He's got all the attention on him. He's got the spotlight on him. Just try and keep perspective, I guess. It's not always easy, and your heart wants to be there, but it's just golf, I guess. At least that's what we try and tell ourselves.
Yeah, exactly.
It does sound like you've got a pretty good perspective on it.
Some days.
Some days, yeah, exactly. So will you watch now, or will that just hurt too much?
Man, it's Augusta. I've got to throw it on. I'll be watching the Wednesday par 3 contest. I'll be up Thursday morning watching the ceremonial tee shots. I'll be watching for sure. I love the game too much.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, we will be as well. You're on the right side of the time zone, so
yeah,
easier
exactly.
for you.
It's a little easier for me.
Yeah. So speaking of perspective and when the game's gone good for you, you then 2019 Scandinavian Open, get your first European Tour win. Talk us through that and what that means to you, even just personally, not even as a golfer, but just you've got to that point now where you're winning on the European Tour.
Yeah, it's an incredible feeling of achievement and pride, and dreams coming true, hard work coming together. I played well the week before in Prague as well. I finished top 5 there, and winning and knowing how to win is such an interesting thing, because you don't have to play perfect golf to win. Sometimes you've got this feeling, especially when you're struggling, you've got this feeling that you've got to play perfect and you've got to hit every shot on point and make every 5-footer. And that week in Scandinavia, certainly wasn't the case. Yeah, I had a great weekend and I putted really well on Sunday. But I remember like hitting like a duff chip on Friday and like not getting up and down from sort of, quotes, an easy spots. But looking back, yeah, that was a beautiful moment, and Feely being on the bag. I remember him kind of breaking down and crying and hugging me. It's a really proud moment looking back, and yeah, it makes you just want to win again, so hopefully that's around the corner soon.
No doubt it is. We will say that there have been a number of people who've been getting the podcast bump from being on the show with us. We've had John Catlin on, obviously 2-time winner. We had Bob McIntyre on, who went on to win the European Tour. So look, next few weeks we'll put our money on you.
Love it, boys. I've got 2 weeks off, so I'll be thinking about this conversation in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah. Actually, do you know what popped into our heads? Actually, Johnny sent it across to me on, now that we're talking about your weeks off and you're going to be practicing and whatever. Yeah. He sent me on a picture of the bags, the bag room, the golf ball bag room in the Bears Club.
Yeah.
With all of your like bags, like your next Jack Nicklaus and stuff. That has to be one of the coolest things. Talk to us about the Bears Club, because this is where, like, it's a who's who down there in the practice range, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. There's quite a few guys there, and look, what a place, man! It's heaven on earth. Like we've got maybe one place in South Africa that comes close to Bears. That's Leopard Creek. I mean, it's got this incredible par 3 course with, like, in the middle of it, it's got this massive chipping putting green short game area. It's every golfer's dream. It's just, you can spend days there and, it feels like time's just not passing by. It's really great. And like the like you say, the ballroom where they store all the shag bags, it's everybody's got their own name on their balls, and, you get your Callaway balls sent to you. So I'm practicing with the ball I'm playing, which is cool. And then if you win a major, they embroider that underneath your name on your shag bag. It's pretty special.
Yeah, that is amazing. I saw the photo here, and you're in good company. There's yourself, Justin Thomas, Jack Nicklaus, Gary Player.
Yeah, there's not enough space on Jack's bag for all the.
I know. Yeah. You're in good company.
It's such a massive flex by Jack Nicklaus. Like his bag is just
Massive.
covered in right.
You walk into the locker room, the men's locker room, there's just trophy upon trophy upon trophy. Yeah, it's impressive.
Yeah, he's like real. It's like subtle Jack, real subtle.
Yeah, exactly.
Good motivation, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a really cool conversation with him actually before the Masters last year, just before November, and very inspiring, and makes you feel like anyone can do it. Yeah, he's such a cool guy.
How does being in a place like Bears Club, where you've got guys coming back on their weeks off who've more than likely just won the week before something big, first thing, like, do you knock off each other much in terms of sharing info, or is it money matches, or how do you keep sharp, or what way does it work?
Yeah, some guys just kind of stick to themselves, do their own thing. Some guys have kind of a couple group of friends that they always play. Keegan, Bradley, who's out there, he usually plays with like 2 or 3 of the same guys every time. I've gotten to know Rory a little bit now. He's out there. DJ's kind of always doing it. So it's an interesting thing because, like I've got 2 weeks off now. I'm probably going to take a whole week off and just train at home and rest a little bit, spend some time with my wife. And then I'm back there. And so you don't always see each other. Like you say, is there a sort of trade of info? Not really, but usually it's a couple of guys getting together, playing a money match, or playing 18 holes, or you're just doing your own thing. So sometimes it's quite serious, actually. Depending on who you see, Shayna is always playing, money game or whatever. So it just depends.
Who's your standard 4-ball then? Who would you be calling up for a casual round?
I've tried to get with Rory. He's hit or miss whether he even responds in the text. He's such a punk. But mind you, he's got baby now and that whole thing, so he's busy too. I don't want to bust him, but I've played with Luke. I've actually had a couple college buddies out. It really just depends. I play a lot with Alex Noren, who's out there as well. We've gotten quite close. It just depends. Sometimes you don't even book a tee time. I practice, and then it just, hey, you want to go out for 9 holes? So I don't have the regulars yet, so to speak, but I'm sure as time goes by that'll happen.
Do you thrive in an atmosphere where like you're head down, play your own furrow, or do you much prefer an atmosphere where there's a lot of you around constantly geeing each other on, or what way are you best? What brings the best out of you, actually?
Bit of both. I certainly need my time where I'm just kind of grinding and doing my own thing. There's a time for that, but then I think it's important to then go to kind of get out of your comfort zone, to go up to Dustin Johnson and be like, hey, let's go play, or or Rory, or whatever the case might be. I mean, Luke Donald, the guy's still like a short game genius.
Mm-hmm.
I remember it was me, Alex Noren, and Luke the one day at the chipping green and playing a little money game, and the guy's he's still got it. So I think it's important to kind of throw yourself in that situation where you don't know the guy as well yet. He's like one of the best in the world at what he does. To put yourself in that little bit of pressure situation and see if you can learn something, I think it's so good. It's a really good environment to be in.
So then you're saying that you've got 2 weeks off, obviously off the back of 2 very good results. Is there anything in particular you're saying you weren't that happy with results before that? Anything you're working on specifically to improve?
Yeah, a lot of it's just mental stuff, to be honest. And it's just with regards to pressure I put on myself, results you want to attain. For me, it was a big push to try and get into Augusta. And then what happens is you're so focused on world ranking and the amount of points you need to get that you actually lose focus with what got me there in the first place. And that's just playing good golf, doing my own thing, sticking to my process. So I lost track a bit of that, lost sight of that for a couple months there, and all that pressure so internal, you know, and I'm getting back now to letting go of all that noise and all that rubbish and just playing EVR golf, because that's certainly good enough. Yeah. So, I mean, technically, I feel like I'm so much better than I was not like 2 months ago or a year ago. I mean, it's not even, it's short games way better. Driving it great. Iron plays good. So it's just getting out of your own way and playing golf.
So then in next year or so, it's a big year as well. So obviously it's Ryder Cup year this year, but obviously the South African President's Cup is looming. Is that an objective then for the year coming, or are you going to try and not get in your own way about that too?
No. It's important to know what you want to achieve, but then get back to how you want to do it, right? And that's, well, being in the present, playing, you know, one shot at a time kind of stuff. So definitely want to make President's Cup. I've spoken to Trevor about it once or twice. You know, Wells Fargo is coming up in a month or two, and that's where we're going to play the President's Cup at Quail Hollow. So going to play that event. I've never seen the golf course, so yeah, that's definitely on the radar. That would be so cool to play, and be cool to beat Americans on American soil too. So let's go out and do that. It'd be cool if the Europeans can beat them this year and then we beat them next year. I think
hopefully
cool.
we'll pave the way for you now this summer.
Absolutely, please, let's do that.
Steamroll them first.
Was team golf a big part of your upbringing as a kid? Was there much team golf?
Yeah. So South Africa gets kind of split up in certain regions. Obviously, we've got 9 provinces, and then they get split up into smaller regions as well. So I played for a region called the Southern Cape. And there's about 14 different regions, I think, in all. And you get selected on a team of like 5 or 6 guys, and then you play against all these other regions, right? And it's called interprovincial tournaments. The biggest one is where everyone plays against each other for 5 days straight, 36 holes every day. So you would play like singles in the morning or foursomes in the morning, singles in the afternoon kind of stuff. So yeah, there was a lot of team play, and it's so much fun. It's
also carried through because you had the T9 at the WGC. You're a fan of match play.
Mm-hmm. I am. We played some of it in college as well. We had our Big Ten match play always down in Florida every year. And I mean, match play, I haven't played it in a long time since this year, but it's such a different dynamic because, you know, there's a tendency to want to be more aggressive. But then you can always you could sometimes bite yourself, you know, because you can make a 6 and this guy's got like an easy par to make and he wins the hole. But then again, you look back, it's only 1 hole lost.
Yeah.
So it's not that big of a deal. So it was really fun to kind of play that again and to get into that that mojo. And you want to kind of just take the other guy down, don't you? It gets the blood going a little bit.
Yeah. So 2 weeks off, and then what's the next? What's next on the horizon for you after the break? You know,
I'm going to play the Zurich Classic, which is the team event down in New Orleans. I'm teaming up with Wyndham Clark. He asked me a week or so ago, and Wyndham's a great player as well. So I think that'll be kind of fun. He's an American and he hits it great. I think we'll make a good combo. So I don't know. It's kind of it sounds like a fun tournament. Everyone kind of talks about it. So we'll see what that's like. What is the week after? Let me just pull up my schedule here. One moment. Zurich Classic. So I'll go Zurich Classic, Valspar, Wells Fargo, week off PGA Championship. Yeah, that's the next 4 events.
It's busy all the time.
Yeah, busy time. But it's kind of nice. I've played 3 in a row. Week off, go to Kiawah Island early for the PGA, get some prep done, and then I don't know, go smash, see what happens.
Yep.
Do you know Wyndham particularly well?
I've played with him at Phoenix Open. We played the first 2 rounds together, and then I played a practice round with him at Arnold Palmer. So I don't know him super well, but he asked me a couple of weeks ago, and I was kind of waiting on an invite for the RBC Heritage because I wanted to play that. And I was like, okay, let's just see what happens there. And then I didn't get in. So I was like, hey, let's go give it a crack. So I like he's got a little bit of fire. He's got a little bit of cockiness to him. I think that it would bode well for a tournament like that.
If you do well and just win a couple of mil, it tends to bring you quite close together, actually, to be honest.
If you do it together, I think so.
it'd be best buds then, pal.
Yeah, exactly.
You and Wyndham are like this then.
I haven't even thought about that, but that's so
there
true.
you go. That's actually quite a weird thing, like in that. For that tournament, it is a case of bit of a text message. Do you want to play together for this?
Yeah.
So 2 guys just come together and ended up winning each other or losing each other a fortune. Winning each other a fortune.
Yeah, exactly. We're either going to be best friends or hating each other. We'll see.
Never playing with that guy again.
No.
Have you gotten like a cohort or a group of guys who used to play European Tour, but now are over in PGA that would be your closest friends?
Yeah, it's slowly growing. I mean, I'm still relatively new here. What's nice is I'm hanging out with Brandon Grace every week. So we kind of stick together, and you know, I've spent some time in the US before this, obviously during college. So it's easy for me to sort of live here now and adapt to the culture and get to know people. So slowly getting to know more guys, getting to know more friends, and that thing just kind of takes time, and it kind of takes care of itself. But the camaraderie and the vibe is so different compared to the 2 tours. I mean, Europe is, I don't know, guys hang out a lot more. Guys stay in the same hotel because you kind of have to. You eat dinner with the same guys. Camaraderie is definitely much tighter on the European tour than here. It's almost like here, everybody, it's like just straight business. We all just get to the putting green, putt for 30 minutes, go chip, hit balls, play, and leave. There's no like real chatting about or hanging about. So it's way more business-like. But I feel like if you feel like guys kind of make 1 or 2 friends and then that's it, you know? Yeah, so it's quite different. I prefer Europe in that sense.
It's funny because we do see, would have always heard from a lot of the Irish guys that they pal together, go out for dinner every evening. Although the PGA Tour hasn't been as bad in terms of the bubble and whatever else, but it's good to get a sense of it. But so 2 weeks off now, and we're not going to take up any more of your time because get you back to your pregnant wife and get you off the couch. But Erik, thank you so much for your time. It's been great.
Oh, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Yeah, and stay away from all the snow and the wind outside.